Alright, progress update. So we got most of the edges cleaned up. We got all that ooey gooey glue off. There's a little bit of rust back in there. We got this flap off. I gotta clean it up. I did wire wheel it, but I gotta grind down the little spot welds. Got this piece off and cleaned up to, we're gonna just go around that corner there. Got the inside of the rocker cleaned up. Now, where this goes, that is rusted. So we're going to have to cut this off. Like, it's not like all this is great metal, but maybe like here to here. We'll cut this off and we'll just weld something in. I guess my sheet metal will do the trick. We'll just weld it all the way across, and then we can have somewhere to weld that on. Right now I'm trying to get this body mount out, and as you can see, the nut is fused to the bolt. Maybe you can't see. The nut is fused to the bolt, so I want to keep the overall length of the entire bolt, and as of right now I cut straight down through the nut and everything, and I'm going to use a chisel and we're going to try and pop that nut apart so we can get the bolt down through. See if it works. See, that's what we did. Okay, so we got the body mount out. Looking good. So this bolt was pretty bad. So now we know what the length is, so we can get a new bolt. So here we have a piece of scrap. I'm just gonna put this underneath the floor. And perfect line. Okay, so this is kind of a downside, is that I just spent the last 15 minutes or so making this piece that fits perfectly in there. This doesn't much matter, but this is not. There's going to be another piece that goes over here that wraps around this. So this is just inner structure that no one will ever see. Bit of a bummer, but sometimes I just don't want to do crap work. Okay, so this is the floor pan that's going to go in there, and so far I removed that. This is kind of where we're at. So we have it in here. Come in here. It lines up nice with this cut, and the bolt hole lines up, but inside here I did miscalculate a smidge. There's a tiny little hole there. Not that it matters, we'll weld it all up. And then, as you can see in here, this will be all more surface that our flat piece can weld to in here. And that's probably where I'm going to stop tonight, because I'm dirty and it's starting to get dark. And I want to weld, but I can't because there's too much blocking. Alright, so we are back. We have this piece to put in, ready to weld in. Then this will go here. I do not have the correct bolt, but we will fix that. Then we have this piece is all ready to go. This gap's a tad bigger than I would like. Everything else. And then we have the holes for the cage. They line up. The other hole for the seat mount, that will line up. And we will get this welded in. I cleaned up all this area so we can make our pieces to go down to there. Got some of this cleaned off so we can weld to the outside. We could drill some holes. This will just booger weld. This will just booger weld all up. Weld this to the outside. So I guess we'll just put you on a time lapse and see what happens. Okay, so one of the other things that we have to do is once we get this in, and since we saved all this metal here and all this here, and we have this to weld to as well, tie everything together, what I did was I put the floor in, I got this lower piece where I want it, and I used a Sharpie, left all the dust, I traced, and then I drilled holes on the inside of those lines. So that way, hopefully, when I put this on here, this all lines up and I don't see any air below it, which means that's good. So then we can get our Sharpie and we can make marks on everything below our cuts there, so that way we will clean this up. And on this piece specifically, we don't want to do any extra grinding on a place where we're not going to be able to get really a lot of paint in. We will try our best to just get paint in there as much as we can, but with this we can just take our grinder and then we can line all this back up, so that way we can weld it all together. Okay, so now that I have everything where it needs to go, this is where it gets tricky. You got to make sure that this lower brace is exactly where we want it. Okay, so we got our rear holes for the cage, which don't exist on the cage. We got our seat. So now we have to take this out very carefully. And what we're going to do is we're going to tack this to this brace that we need, because we're going to weld this to that. We're going to tack it quick, and we're going to put that back over it to make sure that didn't move. Just a little baby tack. Honestly, I think we could snap that thing off if we need to. Okay, that is right where we want it. All of our holes still line up. Now we're going to weld this in. Ta-da. So now this, what we're going to do, is we're going to line this up. We're going to get it as good as we want it and lined up with all of our spots that we need to make sure we're happy. Little guy there. Make sure everything fits up nice, except for that big gap, which sucks. You don't want to burn your fingers. That's why you should have a glove on. And then we just do this for the next 30 minutes. So here, I'm going to push our floor. And we're gonna put you on time lapse, and you get to watch. How wet I am. Well, we ran out of wire. It's just all wet. Alright, well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to run tonight to go get wire. But we do have it all plugged to the thing. All of our bolt holes still line up. That one's factory. We have that one kind of, ooh, where'd you go? That one kind of blew through. Whoops. And Jesus. And these ones are quite a gape. So we'll be able to get paint in there, that's for sure. And now we just have to finish welding this up. This is what I'm not excited for. I wanted to finish this. I should have just put all my energy into this. I wanted to get this. I got this inside piece welded in. Might have to grind down here a little bit, just so that way when it goes flush, it's fine. I guess I should have welded that too. Well, I want to bend this out a little, and I wanted to make that piece. It's a super simple piece to make, and I didn't do it now. And now we're out of wire. So, that sucks. Look how sweaty I am. It's so hot. I'm gonna have sunburn on my arm. I would normally wear just a tank top to work, but I usually get sunburn from welding. So, I wear the shirt. It has my name on it. Keystone 4x4. Or now towing. Well, after a day and a half of rain, we are all covered in some surface rust. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our wire brush, wire wheel, wire that, and just quickly run over everything, clean it all up, and then start making templates so we can cut stuff out of sheet metal. Alright, so when I do patch panels like this, I always go to the dollar store and get some poster board. White works perfectly fine when they have it. So then what I do is I'll just make a couple like quick marks as to like what I kind of roughly need. Make it a little bigger, that's fine. And then we'll just freehand a little big. For this job I bought 2 big sheets of this. I think I need more. So now we will take this, we'll line up one edge, or we'll kind of line that side up with this here. Make a mark at the curve on both of them. This piece kind of matters because this is where the fender meets, so this should be pretty straight so it can bolt on. But we do have the rock slider that will cover most of this. I think the rock slider covers to here. Kind of goes like that. So we should be okay. Okay, so now let's just find a flat surface-ish. And we'll give it a little bend. Now we can kind of give it a little bit more of a crease. So now if we fit this in here, okay, not bad. So now let's make our mark here. And I always try to make the cardboard fit as tight as possible so that way I can cut like on the line on the metal. See, there we go. Pretty good. Now over here, it's hot out. Over here, we will go to this, and we'll just move this up here. Do a little of that. Nice and straight. Perfect. Ta-da. I'm gonna get some sheet metal and we'll get cutting on this. One of the things we won't be doing is we won't be filming every single second of all this because these videos will be so long. So what we do with our template here is we find a flat side, the long one, then we just take our Sharpie and we trace it out. Now we know that it fit pretty good. Okay, so then we're just going to make a mark here. A mark here. These are where our bends are. Now we will take this. We'll line those up. Trace that out. Okay, so now we know we can cut along this, and we'll nip this little piece off. Okay, so we got our piece. See how it fits here. So what we really want, first thing first, we want the outside to be good. Second is caring about the inside. So one of the things I see is we have a big gap here. That one might be okay. So, which kind of stinks. Maybe I didn't bend it exactly where I was supposed to. You can see my line. I just put this in my vise, which my vise is only like that wide. So these ones get kind of funky sometimes, but I always bend this over first, and then I just slide it into the vise, tap this down, and then I just go back through and hammer these back straight. So it'd be a lot better if you had something, you know, more professional to bend it, but when you're working in your driveway, a vise works great. So, you know, I kind of like the way that the bottom lines up. So we're going to keep that. And then we're going to, I like all this. All of this is great until right here. So we're going to trim a little bit off this edge and some off the top. So we need to figure out what we need to trim off. Best way to do that is to make these marks. Now, two things. You can either trim this part to the bottom of that line, or you could, you know, kind of eyeball it and trim off this. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna grind that down. Time lapse. And in case we never covered this, I have a Eastwood MiG 175. Got a tank back here. Got this side covered in things I've bought from, or, you know, companies that I've supported building my motorcycle, mostly. And old pudding. super tight gaps. Got our spots to plug weld so we can tie the whole body together. I did kind of tap this in just a little bit, so we're not too far off here at the corner. This is a little bit on the like that, so once we get all this welded in, we will tap that against so we can not have a 1/4 inch gap back there. The fender does have to mount here, so we can't go crazy, but I also don't care because it'll get, you won't be able to tell, and it'll be fine. 33 years old, but looks pretty good. It's hot. If I squint my eyes really hard, I cry. It's 91, I think, right now. Sun's gone, so it's over there. It's on the other side of the house. That's why we can only work at night. Well done. I tell you, I like doing metal work, but I do not have the patience for welding and letting it cool. It didn't warp, as far as I can tell. Let it run. So, we got it all welded up, all grounded off. You can see that there is a difference, but like I said, the slider is going to cover this. So, I didn't care too much about all this, plus this is pretty solid down here. Tack welded or welded to the structure inside. Also, there's a thick layer of filler. Like, you got orange paint and then filler and then different kind of color filler that's a little darker, and then the red paint, and then factory primer, and then metal. So you can see they're deep. So we will have to do something here, but I don't care right now because I am going to go get some paint. Oh. Another thing that I want to do quick is in here, I want to throw a couple tack welds from, I don't know, just anywhere I can. Like maybe here in this corner or on that piece, and then we'll paint in here too. Remember, if you paint it while it's still warm, it's like factory powder coat. I got this at AutoZone. Oople sandable primer, anti-rust, easy to sand, fast drying, plug-free nozzle, and it's in white because I want to paint the deep white. Oh, that's warm. Which way is this? Looks better in bare metal. That's a big lip there now. The warmer it is, the more you can get behind it real good. Do I care if it runs back there? Nope. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld this floor up. You don't need to see that. I'm not time-lapsing. I'm not doing nothing. I'll bring you in when it's done because it looks like it's going to rain soon. And if it does start to rain, I don't have to worry about a camera as well. So I'm going to take all my other tools in, and it's just going to be me, the welder, and I'm going to put a shirt on because I'm going to get sunburn. Happens every time. Probably already bad from doing what I just did. Show you when it's done. Alright, so we got it all welded in. After putting the welder away, I remembered that I had one more spot weld to do. I got our flap wheel, but the battery died. Just to knock off any high stuff. There's going to be carpet. I will be running carpet, you know, like at least winter. So this will work for now. And we're just gonna cover it in primer, not giving two cares. We're We're gonna stay away from that. Sweet. Now on the bottom, ooh, is that fan loud? On the bottom here, we're just gonna go over this quickly because I wanna go back and scuff it all, and like I wanna use a wire wheel and then paint it black. But in the meantime, less rust is better. It is Sunday, around lunchtime. We have a easy up, and today we are on making templates. So big thing with making, you know, metal pieces fit. Why does that not fit? Anyway, so this isn't even the right one. There it is. All right, so cutting out cardboard, poster board. I always like to label like inside the body or at the tire. And so we got this piece here. We got a piece here. Now I'm cheating a little bit because I don't really care about. Like here I'm going to overlap. I'm not going to make it a super flush tight fit because it's just not necessary. So then it's going to wrap around. It'll bend. Well, we have to bend it. And it'll go like that. We'll weld it to the floor. We'll just weld it through here. This is where the seatbelt goes. So as long as we keep room around that, it'll be fine. Got that piece. Then we started to make this outside body panel. This outside piece. Then we traced them all onto metal. So now we can pull those out, and now we start working on the fine tuning. And this is where you then start to realize that cardboard doesn't or that metal doesn't flex as good as cardboard does. So like here we have some work to do. Gappage. We got this. We got this guy here, which fits pretty good. There's a little tiny gap there. We got to trim a little bit around the bottom. Maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe we could just pull that down. Ta-da! Look at that. It even stays. And then we got this guy. Ta-da. Now, the only thing that I didn't do, which, whatever, is this does wrap around here. And I don't have that. What I could do, which I'm probably not going to, at least not right now, this is kind of getting pretty low on my list of things that I want to get picky on. But I could make a little piece to connect and then weld it all, you know, to that. But as you can see, it's like 100 degrees outside. I don't know, it's at least 90. And we're gonna start welding. All right, and just like that, we got the inside mostly welded up. Now that I put this panel here on, we're gonna have to tap that against, weld that to the floor. We gotta finish welding, but we got that all tied in, that's all in. I gotta make this piece yet. That one, got these tacked in. I'm gonna take my time on those. This part here doesn't really matter if it warps because the rock slider covers all of this. But this one, definitely have to be careful. There was 2 spots behind, so I drilled some holes. Same with all these ones, where we could plug weld those. I ran out of gas when I was tacking this, so we had to go fill that up. Thanks, Tractor Supply. Got to weld this one yet. See, it's metal underneath. And that's where that's where we're ending this. Gonna clip it all together tonight, and I don't know what's gonna happen next week. Definitely have to get this all back together. I'm also gonna do the other side, so I'm gonna finish this side up, and then we gotta start the other side. So the other side will probably be much less videoing because it's the same thing, just kind of repeated. And this side took me 7, 8, 9, 10 days. And I mean, realistically, we're still not done. I still have to finish the body mount bolt because the patch panel that has the body mount part on it is not a regular, look at the sweat's dripping down my nose, is not a regular bolt size. It's not standard, it's metric. So I need an M12 by 1.75 by 140, so it's 5.5 inches long. So that sucks. So I gotta order those because Tractor Supply don't have them, Ace Hardware doesn't have them, Lowe's and Home Depot definitely don't have them. So gotta order those. But I did buy a M12 by, no, I bought a 7/16. It's close in thread relation, but it's super loose. It's like, so I bought it in the size that I needed, just so that way I could kind of align everything, get everything where it needed to go with the new, for when I have the right bolt. I was gonna drill them out to half 13, something like that, because I'm pretty sure that's what the rest of the hardware is on this Jeep. Oh well. Remember, this sucks. But, it's just like do what Dan says. It's just work. Just work. It's not hard. All I did was I used a cutoff wheel, cut everything out. Find the rust, cut it out. Go past, if it's this big, yeah, if it's this big, cut out this big, because the rust, it'll just spread. I use the cutoff wheel. The sheet metal is like the biggest expense. I mean, other than the $600 welder and $60 worth of gas that I just had to put into it. The welding wire was only $10. Thanks to Harbor Freight, it's future sponsored. Paint was so far $10, but I do have some Rust-Oleum in a can. And after I kind of seam seal some stuff, which I'll add in for next week's video. But I want to, after I've done welding everything and get everything, like the high spots knocked off, especially on the inside and like on the bottom, I'm just going to caulk it all. That way water can't get into my bare metal. And I will kind of, I'm going to use Rust-Oleum oil-based paint, and I'm going to brush it on real thick. The floors, the bottom, everywhere that I painted. Now the outside here will get a light coat of filler, because kind of have to. Also have to do it for that front. And then we can go back together. We have that off-road trip coming up September 20th. So I will probably just said this before, probably in this video or the last video, I'm going to put the tube fenders back on the front. I'm going to put the tube fenders back on the rear. And then we will worry about fixing and putting stock stuff on, because I want the stock stuff. Like I say all the time. But I'm not tearing apart that front end to fix the rust like I did on this side. When I do that side, when I do the driver's side, we are only fixing that floor and that inner structure that I have to. Maybe we'll do this part, but I don't want to get carried away because I want it done. I'm little bits at a time, especially with something that I want to enjoy. Like, it'll be fine for the winter, at least it's safer. Just the rear frame, that'll be another issue. Maybe we'll, it's fine. All right, remember, don't matter what you do, as long as you're doing something. Doesn't matter if this takes you a month, as long as you work on it a little bit. Day here, day there, next day, little cut, little grind, little weld. Got to be careful you don't get stuck with not letting it get rusty, because I've had problems with it getting rusty after I grind all the paint off, so that sucks. Alright, thanks for watching. See you next week. No Car Garage, out.